It's the Go Radio Football Show with our friends at Global Eco Energy every night from 5. Thanks for making the switch. So many people, Barry, more and more. The guy, Alan, did I say this to you last week when you were on?
Nope.
Bumped into him and he said, I love it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Barry Ferguson on the Go Radio Football Show. I bumped into him in Bodwell. So there you are.
Well, Alan knows his stuff.
He does indeed. Yeah, he's a lawyer. So, Alan, thank you for making the switch. He listened for many years. He's tuning to us every single night. So tomorrow night, Mark Goody's here, 5 till 6. And then from Wednesday night, you know who's with you? John Hartson. What a player John was, wasn't he? So it's you.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Got to be honest with you. It was that front three that Celtic had at that time, Paul. Let's be honest. John Hartson, Chris Sutton, and then, listen, the best of them all was Henrik Larsson, no doubt about it. He was one player of you. Listen, they were all top players at that Celtic team, but if you stopped Henrik Larsson, you had a real chance.
Wednesday night.
So that was Big Ozzy's job,
wasn't it? Yeah, and he did it well at times, didn't he? But I mean, in fact, Henrik Larsson said that he gave it, he took it with him, but the two of them got on with it. They didn't complain, did they?
Yeah, that's a sign. Like when you play against top players, well, the top players that I was lucky enough to come up against, if you were late in a challenge that you didn't really mean, they would just go on with it.
Yeah.
They would get up and play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I found with the top players.
Was he the best Celtic player you came up against, do you think? Henrik Larsson?
Yeah,
for sure.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
And the best, I'm just putting
Easily
you
close by, but who I thought was an exceptional player as well was Moravcik.
Yeah, wow. And of course
Never
he was
knew
a bit
anything.
older. No.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. We came here at what, 32, 33?
Something like that. Yep.
No, I think he came for French football.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And everyone thought he'd be in and out, but my goodness,
he'd some ability, him. But Henrik Larsson, he was the one that you had to stop, Paul.
Yeah. And if I ask you, the best Rangers player you played alongside, that's maybe unfair because you had such a time there, but we've spoken about the Arthur Newmans.
Yeah, I mean,
Paul Gascoigne.
I speak about this quite a lot. I was lucky. I played with some phenomenal players. And the thing that stood out with the top players, Paul, was there's attitude towards everything in terms of their training, the way they looked after themselves. These guys were model professionals, good guys, but see, when it came to games, there was only one thing in their mind, and that was to win, and they would do anything to try and win a game of football. And you learn for these guys, and I would like to think that I learned some good traits off these players that I played with.
And that's good for everyone listening, young people, isn't it? Whatever you do, give it everything.
You've got to listen. You never stop learning either. Even as you go on in your careers. I retired at 37 and a half, Paul, and I was still learning stuff at 37 and a half off different coaches and off different players that you play with. But one thing you've got to have, Paul, is you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to have that work ethic, and if you've got that work ethic, I think you've got a real good chance.
I love that. 37 and a half. What are you now? 44 and a half?
45 and a half.
No, 45 and a half, nearly.
Well, I'm feeling it.
Oh, no. Are you golfing? I mean, we're just talking about the weather today. We want to cheer
I was
everyone
meant to be
up
golfing
here,
this morning, but obviously with the rain, it's not ideal when you play golf in the rain. I like my golf, Paul. The only problem is I don't play enough. So I need to get on that course and get practicing.
Get back out there. And are you playing in the Masters again soon? We're going to see you playing.
Hopefully all things going well with fitness, as we're just mentioning there. As you're getting older, there's a lot of old injuries come back to haunt you. But September the 9th, I think it is.
Okay.
It's always great to go and link up with the guys that you played with in the past and have a right good chat and get out and listen. They've still got it in terms of their touch and whatever, but the old legs tend to go a wee bit. But they're brilliant nights and brilliant days when you can go and chat away and reminisce about the good old days.
September the 9th, that will just be 6 days after the first huge game of the season. Rangers Celtic, September the 3rd. And we're going to be on live, Barry. during these huge
It is
games this
September
coming
9th.
season.
I'm just checking it.
Yeah,
Is.
okay. Let's get to today. Sky had a couple of really good interviews today with Brendan Rodgers, and also they spoke to John Kennedy. And speaking about what happened over the summer, he could have gone to Tottenham. He had a great relationship with Ange, and he also talks about his relationship and a really good relationship with the new manager, Brendan Rodgers.
Some of it was interesting. It was one where obviously the manager decided, Ange to move on to Spurs, and in that period there's always, I've been here a few times now when managers have changed, there's the uncertainty. You never know what's around the corner. The club are in discussions with other people, but at that point you don't really know what's going on. So I'd been in close contact with Ange. There was different possibilities, but in the end, Brendan was coming back to Celtic. The club wanted me to stay. Brendan wanted me to stay and be part of this going forward, and as being part of this club is a great privilege. I know what it's all about here, and I've got a good understanding of it. I know the players, I know Brendan really well, and that was a big pull in terms of sticking around and being part of that. I know how Brendan works, the level he's worked, so it's great to still be here. You can never quite look back on it and say that would definitely have happened. There was a possibility of happening. The way things worked out, it wasn't to be, and Brendan was quickly appointed, which was a good move in the club's behalf, to get someone of his calibre back in and move things forward again, because the thing is, you're coming in off the back of great success. You're not coming in to rebuild things. You're coming in off of great success. So bringing someone of Brendan's calibre in to do that, it's a great move by the club.
Interesting what was maybe happening over the summer. And here's Brendan Rodgers speaking about two players that could be on their way out, Scales and Welsh, but they featured at the weekend.
I think the beauty of coming in and assessing everything is giving them that prolonged period. You can sometimes make a decision too early on a player. But it works both ways. Sometimes you might want a player to be here and then be in your squad, but naturally they might want to go and play and they might want to go and start somewhere every week. So it works both ways. But both those guys that you mentioned have been excellent over the course of pre-season, and then we'll see how that develops over the coming weeks.
Barry, more players to come in. That's what you sense. Liam Scales wanted by Aberdeen. You'd expect him to go there, probably?
Yeah, because I think Liam Scales is at an age where he wants to at least have a better chance of playing regular first team football, and he had a strong finish to the season last year when Barry Robson took over. He was a big part of what Barry started off with in terms of making sure they were hard to beat and didn't concede many goals. So yep, he's one player that I would imagine that will move on.
Colin has been on the WhatsApp saying, "Hi guys, I think Rangers either need a new left back or they should try Yefko, who was on at the weekend, at left back, or maybe even Adam Devine, because I don't think Barisic or Yilmaz is the answer. Both have been at fault for sloppy goals in pre-season." What do you think?
Yeah, I see where he's coming from in terms of the sloppy goals that have been conceded. Barisic during the week and Yilmaz the weekend. But again, I'm not going to be too harsh on him, Paul, because it is pre-season. The sessions are totally different from what you would do during the season when it's up and running. But in terms of Barisic, again, I'll go into it. He's going into the final year of his contract, Paul, and he's one of the ones. Either Michael Beale wants him to stay and extend, or Barisic doesn't want it and wants to move on. They need to really get it sorted, because they can't allow it to run on and risk losing an international left back, where I think you would get decent money for if he was to be let go.
Were you surprised Glenn Kamara is at the moment he's training in his own? We talked about it before the programme.
Yeah, I'm not in terms of, I don't think Glenn Kamara would be that type of player, Paul, to be an absolute nuisance or whatever. I just think he's been allowed to go and speak to different teams. His mind's a bit mixed up. So I think it's best for both parties that he trains alone, just to keep his fitness levels up there. And I think you'll see Glenn Kamara move on in the next week or so. But one thing I will say about Glenn Kamara, a brilliant piece of business.
Amazing.
For 50 grand, I think he's been a real good signing for Rangers. And he's a good footballer, Glenn.
Colin's final point is about Abdallah Sima. He says, "I'm not sure about him yet. Don't know if we've seen enough. Not convinced. And the other new signings have done okay, but could still do better." What I'm hearing from you tonight is, listen, these are all pre-season games.
Yeah, as I says, Paul, I wouldn't get too up if Rangers were winning every pre-season game and everybody was playing the perfect game, and the same, I'm not getting too down where Rangers are obviously getting beaten some games and drawing games, and players aren't playing brilliantly. So I'll reserve my judgment until the season starts, and we're 3 or 4 games into the season, and see how they react to when the pressure's on. Because next week at 5:15 on the Astro, the pressure's on Rangers to come back up the road to Ibrox with 3 points, and it'll be interesting to see what the starting 11's going to be as well, Paul.
It will be, won't it?
I'm
how they're
looking
going to
forward
line up.
how they're going to line up, what way they're going to play. They're going to play with one holder or two holders in the middle of the pitch. I prefer them with 2 players in, because of the way that Michael Beale likes to push his fullbacks on, because it makes you more solid and compact that way. But it'll be interesting to see, because it's a big squad now. There's competition for places, certainly in that forward area.
And you think maybe 1 or 2 more to come. Final piece here from Brendan Rodgers. He was in the back pages this morning saying more determined than ever to win with Celtic. And is he apprehensive about the reaction of some of the Celtic fans? Well, we may not.
Yeah, no, there's no apprehension. You know, I made a decision to leave, which I said before I didn't regret. You know, Celtic done well after I left. You know, I had a good spell at Leicester, and we won some trophies. So I come back. You know, I've had a great support from the Celtic supporters. That, listen, you won't always get everyone on side, but I think my experience in life tells me that people forgive when it suits, and they forget when it's convenient. And my job purely is to just concentrate the priorities, the players and the staff, making sure that we can be the best that we can be in order to help the supporters dream again. And that's what I achieve. And listen, I'm pretty sure the first time I was here, there wasn't everyone was behind me, and it'll probably be the same here. But as long as everyone supports the team and gives them everything, which they normally do at Celtic, then hopefully we can have a great season again.
Barry, it's going to be some season.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously Brendan Rodgers coming in, massive name, few new signings through the door. I expect a few more, and obviously Michael Beale's first season in charge, knowing that he needs to deliver silverware, and how are the new players going to settle in. So yep, I can't wait till the season kicks off, Paul, because I think it's going to be an interesting season.
And the Viaplay, the League Cup, it's big. Whoever gets that first, I mean, we saw it under Ange Postecoglou. That made a difference, didn't it, for the momentum?
Yeah, that is always important. Derek says that at the start of the show. It is always important to get that first trophy in the cabinet. But Paul, the bread and butter is a league title.
Yep,
that's the most important one. Listen, the cups are a brilliant bonus, but the one that you want to win and make sure you win is that league title.
Barry Ferguson, thanks so much. See you on Wednesday. Mark
Cheers,
Goody's
Paul.
here tomorrow at 5, but don't miss Barry and John Hartson on Wednesday.